Bolt your windows. Lock your doors. Check your closets. Look under your bed. And then prepare yourself. For it's another episode of Dark Knight of the Podcast. Whoa!
Night of the podcast listeners, I don't know what is happening. I don't know what's awakened in me, but I think ever since our celebrated review of the seminal 90s sci-fi classic sex porn sci-fi, I mean, it's a porn, but it's also a sci-fi species too. I feel like I'm in heat, and I feel like everybody that's listening to this show is too. We certainly unleashed a beast on Dark Knight of the Podcast. We're having a very sensual season. This 2025 season is ending on a very sensual note, a very provocative note. And I figured, why not keep it going? Why not just keep it hot and horny over here at Dark Knight of the Podcast? Little did I know that a film that we would be reviewing today, I heard it was horny. I heard murmurs that this film is horny, but I had never seen this film. Little did I know that it would be Boob City on Dark Knight of the Podcast with the movie that we're covering today. Because Troy, as a gay man, I haven't seen this many boobs, this many just low-hanging flapjacks in a hot minute. And I don't know how to take it. I'm a little taken aback. I feel almost like I need to cleanse. I definitely need to watch a gay porn after watching this movie, because this film is made with a straight man's eye in mind. This is definitely a film that objectifies women. So straight boys who listen to Dark Knight of the Podcast, we picked the movie for you, because this is definitely not a gay movie, but it sure is fucking campy, isn't it, Troy?
Oh, this one is for the straights for sure. But you know what? As a gay man, I'm going to say those titties are pretty nice. I mean, I'm going to give her credit. She has some of the nicer tits I've seen in a film. So they're supple. They're shiny. They're just hanging there like milk bags. I was like, you know what? I get it. I get why. I guess guys want to motorboat those things because, hey, but yeah, this movie, oh my God, Roger. God, I can't believe I watched this when I was a kid. Do you realize it's been probably 35 years since I've seen this film? It was one of the very first VHS tapes that me and my brother ever rented. And I had to have been like 7 or 8 years old. And I did not, I guess that young, I didn't pick up on how just horny this movie is, and this demon sole purpose is to fuck. And so I was watching, I'm like, oh my God, how did my mom and dad sit there and watch this with me when I was a child? But
your parents were there when you watched this movie?
Yes, they let us pick it out, and we all watched it as a family. All I remember, I remembered, it has some really cool special effects. It has some corny, I did distinctly remember the guy falling off of the balcony at the mall, and I remembered the maid, the housekeeper, Miss Elsie. I did remember her because, in the annals of horror, she definitely makes the right decision, which we rarely see. So I did remember that, but oh my God, I did not remember how much fucking is in this movie, or attempted fucking. Everybody wants to fuck. It's not just the main actress. Every guy in this film wants to fuck.
A very horny film. I mean, and honestly, right now, as the cold weather is hitting, I feel like this is a perfect film to curl up with your lover under a fur blanket with a glass of Merlot and watching the film we're covering today. And if you're alone and you don't have anybody, I mean, I'm sure there are plenty of straight guys who have jacked off to this film. Let's be real. Me, you know what? I think she's a beautiful woman. I think her bazongas are something to behold, and we're going to talk about them a lot. But yeah, I mean, this is a film that I've been wanting to cover because as you know, one of our not only one of our supporters, but one of our friends, Brett Laurie, has been talking about this movie for quite a while, and you mentioned that to me recently, but I went back and realized just how much he's shared and posted about this film, and I think it's due time to give him a little gift, a Thanksgiving gift, if you will, because this will be dropping right around Thanksgiving, and I can't give a better movie to give thanks to than the title we are covering this week. I believe it's in 1983, Troy.
Yeah, Mausoleum.
Mausoleum. Mausoleum. I mean, I'm sure plenty of you have picked up on it because we're talking about boobs so much, but this is a film that's heavy on the boobs, and it is heavy on the practical effects. And for me, being someone who had not ever seen this movie, aside from a few still images and visuals, in a lot of ways it gave me exactly what I expected. But in other ways, it kind of shocked me just how far they go with those practical effects. A lot of it they hold off until the very end of the movie, but consistently throughout the whole film, they are giving you quite a lot of impressive visuals. It's just there are long stretches of very weird, erotic scenarios between these great visuals that they left me kind of puzzled. There's a lot to ponder about this film, Troy, and ponder we shall.
Ponder we shall. There is a lot to really dive into with this film. I mean, you want to get right into it? Is there anything you want to tell our listeners besides we need another 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts? We need 3 more and we're going to be at 70. Come on, people. Kick it into gear.
The holidays are coming.
Roger will show you his supple bosoms if you do that for us.
And let me tell you, they're especially supple right now, and they're about to be suppler with Thanksgiving and Christmas right around the bend. But yeah, definitely share some love. The holidays are here. Now is the time to give us a little gift. And if you want to give yourself a little gift, definitely sashay on over to that Patreon, because that Patreon is still going. And Troy and I are actually about to drop a couple more episodes for this next month coming up. So there's going to be some brand new, fresh material. But we have shared some exceptionally awesome things in the last few months, like some of them panels from Houston Horror.
Yeah,
it's good.
Yeah. A lot of times we'll hop on and talk about a film that just came out, and we rarely do that. We don't really cover newer films on our main feed, so we do give our reactions to newer films on the Patreon. There's a lot of fun stuff, a lot of top 3 lists we do. I have a couple true crime episodes. I plan on doing a couple more. I'm actually working on a script for one right now that I will record next week when Roger is away. We should mention that early in the episode.
Yeah.
We probably will not have an episode next week on our main feed, but here we are. We're going to have plenty to talk about with Mausoleum. Yeah. I watched this film a couple times, and I kept going back and forth. I'm like, is this going to be a film that I can talk about? Is this going to be a longer episode? Is it going to be a shorter episode? Because on the surface, it really is a film that's made up of just, let's say, a lot of vignettes of random men encountering this broad and being killed. But there's also this whole backstory of what this demon is, why it is particularly latching onto this woman, the Susan, who is our main character. And the film opens up in the past. It's Susan as a child. She's supposed to be 10, Roger. This kid looks like she's about 18. But they're at her mother's funeral. Her mother passed away, and she's with her Aunt Cora, and she's crying. She's all upset. She doesn't want to go home with Aunt Cora. She says, "That's not my home. I want my mommy." It's real weird seeing this girl that looks like she's 17 talk like she's a little kid. That was a little jarring for me. But what ends up happening is the Susan breaks away and runs into this mausoleum. Well, she's attracted to this mausoleum because we see, when she looks at it, we see a vision of it, early CGI, Roger, of it on fire. Really weird. And I'm going right into this because I was a little bit confused about the aunt. Hear me out. See if you understand what I'm getting at here with the whole premise of the film and how this opening has me really confused. Because this convoluted curse, Roger. Do you understand the curse that's on this family? Can you please explain it to me?
So my gathering, well, first of all, I have no idea how the Nomad Women, that's the family name, the Nomad Women, I have no idea how this curse befell these women. That is not disclosed. What is disclosed is that these busty women, this hardy stock, this family, this lineage, that of each generation, the firstborn woman becomes susceptible to this curse in this mausoleum. They're basically, whenever they're close to the mausoleum, they're lured to the mausoleum. And they have the potential of unleashing this curse. And Susan does as a child, but like proceeds to, I guess, nurture this curse until it gets to the point that it fully overwhelms her. It's loose. Like the rules of the game in Mausoleum are loose.
Well, I'm glad you clarified that, because here's my point I was getting at. Well, this curse is known to the family. Cora knows about this curse, and in fact, we flash forward and she has a whole diary from her father that outlines this curse. My question is this, Roger. Is there not another cemetery in this city that they could have buried the mother in? Because this seems really irresponsible of Cora and this family to know that this mausoleum is the source of the curse. But hey, let's bury Susan's mother 10 feet away from the mausoleum and bring her to the fucking cemetery knowing that she's the firstborn nomad female. I was like, why would you pick this cemetery? This looks like a fairly big city. Like, you can't right away. I was like,
move.
Exactly.
Move to another town. Like, because I mean, like, I'm sorry if you're attached. I don't care if you're attached to your hometown. If you know that this town has a curse in your family's name that has the potential of getting a lot of people killed, I would just say move. You shouldn't even be provoking the potential. You shouldn't tempt fate, let alone willingly bring in this kid to this cemetery. And, I like that you jumped right into this, because honestly, the opening and the curse truly is the most enticing aspect of the story. I would love to know more. Tell me more. I would love to know how this curse came to be, let alone affecting this specific individual, Susan. But really, the majority of this film is just excuses for busty Bobby Brazé.
Bobby Brazier?
Bobby Brazé, however you're going to say it. Most of the movie, I feel like it was boob first. How can we get this chick naked, and then we'll build the story around it? That's really how it feels. And that aspect is disappointing, because at its core here, the story that runs through the veins of this film is actually intriguing. I would love to hear more about that aspect, but instead we do get a whole lot of boozles, and it's a film that's as subtle as one of Susan's lacy negligees. Like, this film is not subtle at all. It's really just
not subtle at all. And this opening, I just wanted to dive in because I was really confused about why they would be bringing this child to the cemetery with this mausoleum, because when Susan is running away from Cora even screams, "Not Susan, not Susan." Well, what the fuck did you think was going to happen? So Susan goes
chase after her too, chase her.
No, nobody goes after her.
Lets her run off.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden it turns into like a thunderstorm. It gets real creepy. And Susan goes into this mausoleum that she just saw, basically a vision of it being on fire. She goes into it, and I will say, I really like the use of the green and purple in this film. Mm-hmm. I think it's really striking. And it's used throughout the film, like the green glowing light haloed with purple. I think it's a really just beautiful image. When she goes into this mausoleum, she sees this coffin covered with rats. These rats are there. It's like this is the Nomad family crypt. This random guy. Well, okay, so the aunt didn't chase after her. Just some random. I don't know if he's the caretaker, if he is just like somebody visiting a family member, but he follows her into the mausoleum. He's like, "Little girl, what are you doing in here? You gotta get out of here." And you see a shadow of a figure next to Susan that's pointing, and all of a sudden this guy starts hyperventilating and grabbing his head, and he stumbles out of the mausoleum, and at the same time, all of a sudden, little 10-year-old Susan's eyes start glowing green, which is a common visual throughout the film, even as she's an adult. That's how we know that she's about ready to kill someone. And this dude's head explodes out in the cemetery. You never hear about it. Susan's in the crypt. She reaches for that, what we find out is the crown of thorns, cuts herself on it, and we see this demon hand with long fingernails come out of the coffin. It's a striking opening scene, I will say. It takes a little longer than I would like to get going. I feel like the opening credits going for a long time, and it's a problem for me because they're just boring. It's just like red font on the screen, but it goes on for a long time. But I mean, the opening, I think, is enough to get your attention. I think if you've never seen this film, you're going to watch it and you're going, okay, where's this going?
I think there's a clunkiness to the editing and the overall pacing of this film that kind of plagues it and bogs it down at times. But this film, I have to give it credit. It's constantly trying to pull off like these big, grand sequences. And sometimes it fails. But actually, sometimes, I'd say more often than not, it succeeds. Like, even in this sequence, this whole opening scene, you're right, it goes on for a while, but they're doing all of these high aerial shots over top the cemetery, these big sweeping shots of her running. And once she gets to the mausoleum, seeing the visual of that overlay looks pretty fucking awful, but there's all of these, like, smoke machines going off, and you could just tell that they put a lot of effort into giving this film like a certain ambiance. There's a visual, like you said, striking. There's a striking visual quality to this film that at times can result in some really beautiful imagery. And I do feel the best sequences, the prettiest sequences, take place in this mausoleum. And you're right, it's the lighting, it's the shadows, it's the even the set pieces look like, you could tell like a lot of effort was put into this. It doesn't look cheap. This poor fucker walking in there, he's like, whoa, what's going on in here? And he like finds the girl and immediately starts having like an aneurysm. His head explodes. For me, again, having never seen this, I thought I was in for a movie of people's heads exploding the whole film. His is the only head explosion, really, but it's pretty damn well done. But yeah, you never hear about it. Nobody talks about it. And therein lies the problem with Mausoleum. Like, there's a lot of things that happen over the course of the whole movie that's not really discussed or talked about at all as much as it should be. And I think one of the most appealing aspects of possession films, or one of the most enjoyable elements of possession films, is the early stages of the possession itself and the realization of what's happening and how people deal with that and how they come to terms with it. But this possession, when you time jump here, because you're going to get to know Susan as a 30-year-old / 50-year-old, but you're going to get to know Susan, a mature Susan, 20 years later. I think you're really expecting like to follow her journey of coming to terms with being possessed, and things get like progressively worse. But like, honestly, like once you get to like what is the present day within this film, it's kind of like no holds bars. She goes from zero to 60, like she's possessed, and all of a sudden she's like killing people right away. There's no subtlety. I said that earlier, and there's no subtlety in the storytelling as well. Like, it could have really used a little more mystique to it. They really could have taken a little more time letting this possession become more and more powerful, because one thing that I was expecting to get here was just like a growing evolution of Susan coming to terms with being possessed. But it really seems like after this event happens, once we time jump, she's just kind of in it. She's just possessed. And like, I can't understand exactly the rules of the game here with Mausoleum. I don't know how long she's technically been possessed. Has she been like this the whole time? Are her eyes always going green? What's setting it off? Is this the first time she's ever really killed people? There's just not a clear time frame as towards the events, like what's happening here, how far into the journey we are. and what Susan really knows about it. It's just weird. It's very disjointed and disconnected.
Yeah, to me, it's like, Susan doesn't even know she's possessed when it happens. It's not something she's really aware of. And I was thinking the same thing. Like, why is it manifesting now? And I think maybe like when the females hit like the age of 30, that's when it happens. Because if you look at the mother's tombstone, the mother died when she was 30. So I'm thinking that the age 30 is what sets this off. Because we cut to 20 years later. Aunt Cora is in Dr. Andrew. He is a psychologist, his office, and we find out he is the doctor that's been treating Susan since she's a kid. He's real close to her, and honestly, he's the only stand-up guy in the whole film. He really does seem to really care about her, and not in a like lustful way. Do you know what I mean? He genuinely cares about her well-being. Cora is adamant that there is something wrong with Susan because she's starting to act like her mother did right before she died. And he is adamant there's nothing wrong with Susan. I just saw her. She seems fine to me. And she retorts that what happened to Susan's mother and to the Nomad family is no accident. And this is when she hands him this diary that was written by their father, Cora and Susan's father, or her father. And it outlines like the whole history of this curse. And he's like, you know what, you got to let it go. You do this all the time. Susan's a beautiful, grown, married woman. It's time to let her lead her own life. And now we cut to Susan pulling up to the cemetery to get out to put flowers on her mother's grave. Right away, your first thought is there's no way this woman is 30 years old, but let's go with it. And at the same time, Dr. Andrews is reading from this diary, and it's some nonsense, Roger. I was trying to make sense of it. Nonsense about the demon extricating itself from the crown of thorns at the parting of the confines of the outer rim area of hell. And he was rewarded with the eternal possession of the first female of the Noman family. My question is, why this particular family? How is that? Why are they special? Why is it the Nomad family that this demon is rewarded with? I don't get it. I don't understand. And it's never fully explained.
We deserve to see this. This is something I would have loved to have seen. I get it. It's a small budget production, but like, give us a little bit of a flashback to this lore, the family's history, because it is, again, it's pretty enticing, and it's in how it's presented. You get so little of the actual background of how this came to be that it feels very Swiss cheesy. That was a really good catch, though, on your end, noting that the mom was 30 when she died, because honestly, that explains a lot of things for me. Like, if her now being 30, if that's setting off, putting the wheels in motion. She was originally cursed when she was a child, and she has to mature to a certain age in order for the beast to truly manifest itself. I like that. I'll take it. If that's the case, makes sense. Isn't clear. It is not clear enough in the story, though, that is what is required in order for this possession to now evolve into its final form. I really also think that, Aunt Cora is shown earlier in the film, and you really feel like she's going to be this vital element of the story. And aside from this moment that she has here with the doctor kind of voicing her concerns being valid, Cora is completely underutilized. The character of Cora should have been used to explain a lot more of the family's history and also express concern for what is now Susan's deteriorating state, as she's becoming taken over by the demon. If she's seen that before, if she saw that in Cora's mother, I really think it would have made sense to let Cora be more of a fixture in the story. But she's not, aside from a couple of scenes, she's reduced to nothing but a side character with a death that's relatively early in the film. And I just think that she really could have been used to enhance the storytelling. But let's talk about Susan for a moment, because that is the film. Susan is the film. Everything revolves around her. Again, I have to credit Brett Laurie. In his words, he stated that she is a bored housewife straight out of Brazzers. And it's like dead on. He said that she looks like a cross between Suzanne Summers and a 90s Pam Anderson. And honestly, so accurate. She gets out of her car looking straight out of the Donna Lewis music video for I Love You, Always Forever, wearing nothing but camel and suede. And she looks great, but she's got this blonde shag haircut with a heavy shag bang. And she doesn't really look like any other heroine I can think of. I'll give her that. Susan has a very specific look and style, completely of her own. But her character, unfortunately, is, for the most part, pretty thin. I'm not going to say this actress is amazing. Sometimes she's good, other times she's very wooden. But I do think that they could have pushed her a little harder and given her some more material earlier on in the film to make Susan feel a little more dynamic. Because when Susan is not inevitably taken over by this demonic force, Susan is truly like she is just the perfect ideal housewife. She feels like she is this cookie cutter Stepford housewife that is only there to please her husband and tell him how much she loves him and fuck his brains out and pull her fat titties out and make him salmon. That's all she really does aside from be possessed. So I would have loved to have seen a Susan that was a little more enticing and had a little more layered nuance to her overall character development, but she feels very of the times, unfortunately. Not to say she's bad, it's just Susan is really not that dynamic.
Yeah, this is not a three-dimensional character by any means. She is basically Carol Brady. And what is interesting is the actress, she got a Saturn Award nomination for Best Actress for this film that she seems pretty proud of on her IMDb bio. She's not bad. Here's the thing. It's one of those performances where, like, there are some scenes where she's really good, and then there are other scenes where she's really bad. So it's kind of jarring in that respect. I do want to go back to him reading from the diary, because it is stated that the only way that the demon can be sent back to hell or its confines is by having the firstborn Nomad woman reunited with the crown of thorns, which becomes important. And also the last line of the diary is, unless we not forget, no Nomad woman must enter the sanctuary of the Mausoleum. But yet let's have it, like I said, let's have a funeral right next door to it and bring the firstborn Nomad woman right there. Susan, once she puts the flowers on her mother's grave, and she goes into the mausoleum. She's lured to the mausoleum, and she opens it and looks in and kind of gets this grin on her face. And then it cuts to her being passed out on the sofa. We meet her husband, Oliver. Roger, what do you think about Oliver?
I mean, Troy, find me a real life couple as aggressively in love as Oliver and Susan, because in reality, I don't think people like this exist. Do they? Listeners, if one of you, or two of you, I guess, or hopefully you're listening at the same time, but if you're in a relationship this happy, tell me about it, because I love my partner, but every time I walk into a room, I don't just look deeply into his eyes and proclaim my love to him and then take my top off and reveal my breasts to him. Like that relationship that you get from these two it feels very unnatural. It feels like what you idolize and envision a perfect relationship to be. It's that, and it's nothing but that. Aside from this possession, I feel like these characters, not just her, but him, they're both very two-dimensional in the sense that all you get from them is how madly they are in love with each other. They're married, they keep fucking, they can't keep their fucking hands off each other, they're constantly proclaiming their love to one another and just kissing out of nowhere. It's very over the top, and it makes it really hard to root for them because, again, when you think of possession films, a lot of times the characters you're getting to know in these movies are struggling with their own demons, not just the literal demon, but they're overcoming something personal within their life. Look at the family dynamic in The Exorcist and Reagan's mother kind of struggling with not being present in her life and really having to devote herself to her daughter and give her all in the end. Or The Last Exorcism, when you find out there's all of these undercurrents of the potential of this young girl maybe carrying her father's child, and then what comes out with that. Like here, there's this possession, there's this curse, but aside from that, these characters are not coping with anything. They're not dealing with anything. Their lives are very mundane. And that is, it kind of makes it difficult to root for them because they seem so boring.
They truly are portrayed as like the perfect couple. He's a hard worker. I don't know what I think he's like a lawyer or something. He works long hours. They live in this beautiful house. I don't know what she does all day. I'm assuming she just lounges around in her
swoons.
Yeah, I mean, why do they need a housekeeper? What is this lazy bitch doing all day besides fucking the gardener? Which we find out here. This fucking gardener. These fucking creepy men in this film, Roger. So yes, he gets home. They're all lovey-dovey, and you see this creepy ass gardener peeking in the door. Suddenly, he rings the doorbell. Oliver answers it, and it's Ben the gardener who tells Oliver, "Hey, I'll be back next week to remove that stump." And he comments, "Oh, is Miss Farrell not feeling well?" And Oliver's like, "Oh, no, she's fine." And he's like, "Oh, okay." And then Oliver goes and suggests to Susan that they go dancing that evening. "Let's get out. Let's go dancing. I made reservations." She's like, "Oh, I would love that." And they kiss as creepy Ben peers at him through the window. And that evening, Roger, she puts on her fucking best white dress, puts her hair up in a fucking bun, a messy bun. I'm gonna say she looks hot. She looks hot. I mean, if this woman, you're definitely gonna notice her if she walks in a room, right? And in fact, that's what happens. Like I said, there cannot be one decent man in this film. They get to this. Besides the doctor, they get to this. Whatever this is, I guess it's a dinner club with dancing. They get in there, and there's this immediately as her and Oliver walk in and take a seat. There's this bearded, Grizzly Adams looking guy with his blonde girlfriend, and he's like staring her down as she walks in. And his girlfriend notices. It's like, "What are you looking at?" He's like, "Oh, I'm just looking at the dance floor." She's like, "No, you're not. You're looking at her, and I'm tired of your bullshit." And she like storms off.
Seems like this woman left at the right time. I mean, like things get out of hand pretty quick.
Oh my God.
But yeah, you're absolutely right. Like you've got Susan in this Grecian dress.
Oh, I love it.
With her blonde hair up, looking just stunning, and they're gonna go do some dancing.
Oh, they do. They have a whole dance scene, right?
they got a whole shimmy number. It's not really dancing, but they're rocking with it. They're having themselves a good time, but it is brief. They get to this bar, they sit down. Oliver's like, "Let's go dance." They dance for a bit. This Kenny Rogers looking gentleman, young Kenny Rogers, is sitting over there gawking. And then as soon as they get there, they dance for a moment, they sit back down. Oliver receives a phone call, which I guess was more common during this era, to just receive a phone call at the local dancery in Mary J. Blige's terminology. But because that's what this is. There are people just there dancing. He receives a phone call. He goes to take it. She's sitting there. And she's dancing alone. That's what's happening. And that man comes up and he starts grabbing on her honkers. And she wants none of it. And this guy's really aggressive. He just comes right up. He's like, as soon as Oliver walks away, he comes up, starts dancing with her. She's like, "Get off of me." And she goes and sits down, and that guy is aggressive and immediately, obviously very butthurt. Like, you see where this is going. And then as soon as she sits down, she's pouting. Oliver returns from the phone call, and because we don't know what his job is, all he says is he's learned that the contracts are ready, which seems very vague, but they suddenly literally have to leave. They've been in this club for the length of, 3 minutes? They've danced to a portion of a song. She's been molested. And now they have to leave. And I'm just like, what's the point of them even being at this club? And who has to leave for contracts at the drop of a hat? It's really weird. When you think about the pacing of this sequence, it doesn't make any sense.
They're out of there. They're out of there. And she's like, I want to go. They go outside and they're waiting for the valet. And yeah, John Denver, Grizzly Adams comes out and he purposely bumps into Oliver to try to start a confrontation. And Susan has to tell him not to do it. And this guy goes into his car. And as he gets to the car, we see Susan just intently staring at him. And yeah, basically his car in front of everybody starts on fire. She causes his car to start on fire and locks him inside. Oliver rushes to try to get him out and he can't get out. And this is the first time we see, well, I guess we saw the effect of little Susan's eyes go green, but this is the first time we see adult Susan's eyes turn green as she is intently staring. And all of a sudden, Roger, the car blows up, burns this man alive. I would think this would be a traumatic thing to witness. You don't hear a fucking word about it again. They don't ever mention it. Like, it's never brought up. Hey, we watched this man. We're traumatized because we watched this man literally burned to death in his car. It's never brought up. They seem fine. They get home and they're perfectly fine with it.
I love that, like, as they go to leave and he stumbles out and again gets all handsy and they've got to shove him away. This man is clearly annihilated. He is blasted. He's so drunk. And everyone's just watching on as he goes to get in his car. And I'd be like, this alone is a problem. Someone needs to say something about this man. But then the fucking car catches on fire. There's that old gal who she's like, oh shit. She sees the car catch on fire. And here's one of my issues with the film. My issues with the actual editing of the film. There are multiple times that people are reacting to something and it feels like they like opt to not cut over to it until it's in the middle of the event happening. Like right now, she's standing there and she starts to become overcome with this demonic force. Her eyes start glowing green. Everyone starts responding. You hear the fire and then it cuts to the guy inside the car and the back of his car is on fire. And it's weird to me. I'm very confused because, again, she's full on possessed, we come to find out. There's this abrupt transition from her being just normal, average gal to being overtaken by this demon. It's very abrupt and it just manifests in this car catching on fire. And it's not like you get a series of events where, I don't know, you see the fuel tank dripping and there's a cigarette spark and it causes the car to catch on fire or something that she intentionally makes it happen and it's like explained away. The car just catches on fire and I don't know how. There's no spark. It doesn't show anything. And so it seems like the demon's powers, again, are like, I guess, limitless. Like she's possessed. She's full in it. She can kind of do anything. There's no limit to what she can do. Anything she does is explained away by the fact she's under the effect of this curse. And it just makes it feel very much like it kind of blows its load early on in the film. This doesn't feel like they handle the introduction of her being overtaken by this demon. It doesn't feel like they give it enough time to build and develop. And it feels like they kind of just throw it out there and you as the viewer just kind of have to accept it. But what's hardest to accept is those around her, especially her husband, seem so oblivious to it. Like, you're right, they never talk about this guy again. There's no human moments where they talk about anybody really that passes away or how people are affected by things or how they're feeling about things. He finally starts to suspect something's wrong with her, but all it is she's like constantly tired. She's always tired, but there's nothing that Susan is doing or giving off or giving any inclination that she's under this effect, this demonic curse, because she's just always very subtle about it. She's in the background. Her eyes start glowing green. Nobody sees it. And she just kind of gets shit done. And she kills these people and it always goes undetected. So yeah, it's a weird choice. The pacing and how they handle the possession here and their decision just to go full on possessed so early on in the movie, I feel like kind of causes this thing to feel kind of repetitious as it goes on. Like by the time you get to the third or fourth person getting killed, it feels like you can't really go any further than this.
Yeah. After this scene, it really is just like I said earlier in the episode. It's just kind of a string of vignettes of people coming into the house and being killed. We get like 4 of them in a row. And yeah, my question is, nobody's talking about these people going missing. In some cases, it seems like these people are missing for a while and nobody's looking for them, even though I would assume with the gardener and this delivery boy that it would be very traceable where they were last, right? But nobody cares. Like, nobody mentions that people are missing or dying, or, you know, heads are exploding and cars are exploding randomly. It's just not mentioned. So yeah, so that's our first death. I will say, you know, for the first death in the film, it's very lackluster. I mean, it literally is just a horrible effect of a car blowing up. And in fact, when you see the car blow up, you do see it. They must have used stock footage, I'm assuming, because you see like the particular car that blows up. I noticed that when you see it blow up, you see that the driver's door is open, which is weird because it wasn't. But yeah, now I don't know how much time has passed, but it's another day, and we meet Elsie, the housekeeper. People played by the lovely LaWanda Page, who everyone knows and loves as Ann Esther from Sanford and Son. She's in this film briefly. You know, it's one of those things where, you know, on one hand, I really, really, really like the character, but on the other hand, it's one of those like, oh, comic relief. Let's make the African American character the comic relief and seem kind of, on one sense, smart, because she does make a really good decision. But in this particular scene where she is asking Susan if she needs anything else from the store, Susan says she wants guavas, and Elsie's immediate response is, well, how do you spell it? And then Susan's like, oh, we'll just make it cantaloupes then. I'm wondering your feelings on the character of Elsie, the housekeeper, and the betrayal of her. Do you think it aged well? Or...
I feel like it's a character that's not given nearly enough time to be anything more than a caricature. You know, it's written to have a series of one-liners and crack a couple of jokes. And I mean, like, you're right, she makes good choices. She's written to be the sensible one. She's definitely like, this family is definitely in the middle of their own shit and I want nothing to do with it. But I mean, this could have absolutely been more nuanced. Like, could have been so much more to this character. She's only there for a couple of scenes, and they're literally just for her to express that she just doesn't really care enough to get involved. But it's a smart choice. But yeah, I mean, but that's a lot of the characters here. When you said this is a series of vignettes, Troy, and one of my main issues I've been really trying to get at is, like, I wish they would have maybe cut out one or two of these kills and instead taken some more time to develop the relationships of the characters who are dying. So that way the impact would have a little more weight to it. But these are all characters that are very much like on the outskirts, aside from the aunt, but it doesn't seem like they're all that close with her either. She's portrayed as almost like kind of wound really tight, kind of crazy bananas relative that they kind of avoid a little bit. So everyone that's disappearing, it's just like very much like not affecting them. There's not even a lot of reason for them to talk about it, because it does come up a couple times, and it's easily just explained away why they haven't seen the caretaker, they haven't seen the gardener. So yeah, I just wish that these relationships were explored further and they were just nurtured a little bit more. So a character like Elsie would be a little bit more than just, like I said, a caricature. I would like her to have a little more impact on the story, but there's not a lot for her to do.
No, not at all. So yeah, she leaves and goes to the grocery store. Gardener Ben is out there working. He actually knocks on the patio door, and she answers it, and he asks if Mr. Farrell's around, and she says no, and he comes in and he's like, oh, good, alone at last. She's like, what'd you say, Ben? And he's like, oh, no, coffee. Can I have some coffee? She's like, yeah, of course. So she gets him a cup of coffee, and she tells him, I will let Oliver know that you want to see him when he gets home. And so Ben kind of sheepishly has to leave, kind of tail between his legs, because it didn't go how he expected it to go. And he's outside chopping that goddamn stump when she pours herself a cup of coffee and then kind of goes still. And again, we don't really know what motivates her to become possessed, right? It's I guess men, I don't know, but then Aunt Cora here in the next scene gets killed. So it's really just kind of confusing as to why at this particular time she decides to go possess, but she does. because she opens her blouse a little bit, and then she goes and watches Ben chop the stump, and her eyes go green. And I do like this moment because it's like, oh, is she going to do something telekinetic, make him like plant the axe in his own face or something? But instead, all she does is make the door start to fly open and make noise so that he has to come up to investigate. And when he comes up and asks her if she's okay, she's real kind of cold to him. She's like, what do you want, Ben? You want another cup of coffee? And he's like, no, I'm just making sure you're okay. And she's like, then I suggest you get back to work. And he does. We see him. We kind of gets back to work, Roger. We see him. He does mow the lawn, but then he eats his lunch kind of loungingly. And we see him taking a nap, a full-fledged nap on the dock.
Reading that book on gardening. Because as a gardener, the only thing you can actually read about is books on gardening, apparently.
Oh my God, I got a kick out of that. Yeah, he's reading a book while eating his lunch about gardening. And then he's sharpening his axe. And then, I mean, you just cut to Susan, like standing in front of that mirror, knockers out. This is the first time you see those big old titties just hanging there. She's proud of them. She changed into a small terry cloth robe. She goes out on the patio to watch him work. And he looks up at her and notices her. She starts to like caress herself. And he's watching on. And then she like opens up her bathrobe and just takes her knockers out, takes those titties out. And he is like slobbering. He wants those titties.
I mean, I guess I get it. Like, I mean, like if you're looking for a hot woman to be attracted to you, this is it. I mean, and I love how she's just up on that balcony in that fucking towel, sipping that Chardonnay like a real cunt. She's just looking down on him and then just starts fingering that towel and just flops him out. Just bounce, jiggle out and full view. And yeah, just like, these two big fat breasts.
I know. I would have liked to see her throw one over the balcony like Rapunzel's hair, just have one hanging over.
I would have loved if she would have really done a full burlesque style with breast tassels, a full number to lure him inside. But no, all she has to do is bring these titties out. I guess for a straight man, this is kryptonite. But this guy, like, here's my thing. This guy's creepy. Sure, this guy has been a creeper. Absolutely. He's not really ever, aside from hitting on her, he hasn't done anything truly awful. And I think one of my other issues, aside from the relationships in this film just feeling completely inauthentic or very two-dimensional, it's also like when she does opt to like target someone as her next victim, oftentimes a lot of these people just don't feel like they really have it coming. Like, you know, at least if these people really were like the first guy who caused a lot of mischief and like these people were stirring up shit and she started to go full possessed and her eyes start glowing green and she kills them, at least you'd feel like, oh, okay, like I see where she's coming from. But possessed Susan is not picky about the people she's killing. This guy, she catches him checking her out and she's like, oh, fuck it, I'm going to kill him. And yeah, and she just gets up there, boobs out to the wind, and then they start planning on fucking. And she comes out there with that coffee mug and those little white shorts, and she starts just seducing him. And they go inside. They don't go inside. Let's be clear. They go to the garage, to fuck. And I'm like, you've got this whole fucking mansion, and then you've got this nasty ass garage. How does your garage look like this when you live in that beautiful house? You have a housekeeper. And you have a gardener, and your garage looks like this. Someone needs to get fired, and you're fucking in there? Unacceptable.
Yeah, well, and the gardener himself, I mean, he probably thinks he hit the jackpot because let's be clear, this man is probably twice her age. Sweaty. I mean, think about it. He's been working all day out in the yard, lounging. But yeah, she takes him into the garage and immediately starts making out with him. And then before you know it, her fucking top's off, his shirt's off. They lay down and they fuck. And there's this funny moment after they fuck that she's laying there, you know, facing away from him. And we see her eyes are glowing. And he's like, I can see why Mr. Farrell stays at home as much as possible. But you know what, Miss Farrell, I have more tricks up my sleeve. And I'm going to show you another real good time. And she doesn't answer. He's like, are you asleep? And then you get that weird voice. I never sleep. He's like, good, let's you and I get going again. And then the demon says, you're the only one that's going, Ben, in a demonic voice. And literally, the demon claws Ben's face. and then takes that garden trowel. And I thought you would get a kick out of this because it's very Night of the Living Dead, and like bashes him in the face with this fucking garden trowel. You get that real quick shot of it like hitting his face and his face looking all mushy. But what is really cool about this scene, I think, that I'm a big fan of, is the silhouette that you get of the demon. It just dark shadow, just like moving real, making gargling noises and holding that fucking trowel above him. It definitely really gave me vibes of some of the shots of the demons from the film Demons that we covered years ago on the podcast. It kind of gave me that vibe. So I'm wondering if it was a little inspiration for that.
I feel like I've been slamming on certain aspects of this movie, and I do want to say, like, when you get to a moment like this, the way the sequence is executed, and like they show you just enough, they don't show you a ton. Like you said, you see that claw go down his face and the blood running down his face, and then it cuts to that really dramatic hard silhouette. Like it's clearly Susan, but her body is fully morphed and mutated. You can tell it's a completely different physique. And they do a really good job of building up the mystique of revealing the final form of this creature. Now, do I think they still show too much early on when they do start actually showing her face starting to turn demonic? I would have loved if they would have held off on that just a little bit. But this moment here specifically, they do a really good job of introducing the presence of this demon manifesting itself. So what we learn is this creature physically can cause her shape to change form, to become more demonic. And so when she's taken over, she starts to become this thing. And I think that's another area of the mystique of the lore behind this curse is, I mean, there is a demon that is physically separate from Susan. But I guess, like what this curse is it's starting to allow them to merge and become one. So sometimes it comes through her. But later on in the film, we see Susan and this demon as two separate entities. So it's a little bit confusing how that works, because right now she has the ability to, moving forward, physically shift into this creature. And it does look really good when it happens.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is a really effective scene, actually. Like I said, the silhouette looks great. It's real creepy. You cut to Oliver getting home that evening, and he finds her chilling on the sofa, wearing that another white nightie. And he's like, "Oh, I've never seen you look this good." And she's like, "Oh, I know. I've never felt this good." He's like, "Oh my God, honey, I love you so much." And she says, "Show me." And they fuck right there. They disrobe and fuck.
Constantly fucking. These two are like fucking jackrabbits.
More power to them. At least they're getting it. Next morning, you get this scene where Oliver is putting on his tie, and we hear two voices say, "No more, no more, I can't." And then you're not me, you're not me. I don't know if she's like, what is it supposed to be? Like her talking to the demon? I was a little confused because we don't ever get the sense that she is aware of what is happening, correct? So this was really weird to me that they throw in him overhearing her like having this heated conversation with the demon. And he hears it and he goes to try to find out what's going on, and she's in the kitchen making breakfast. And they kiss, and he asks her who she was talking to. She says, "I don't know what you were talking about." He can't stay for breakfast, and he heads for work. She tells him that, ask him if he's going to be home late. And she reminds him, "Oh, well, Cora will be here today as well." So there's that.
Yes, the return of Cora in a great jacket, that fur-lined jacket.
Cora shows up, and she's there to drop off some estate papers. And she gets there. Nobody's there. She hears some pounding upstairs. There's this long moment where she's walking through the house. She's checking out the kitchen. She's getting frustrated. And then she hears that knocking, and she goes up, she climbs up the stairs and sees Susan's figure like back to her at the end of the hallway. She's like, "Susan, I've been looking all over for you. I brought those papers you want." Susan turns around, and Roger, it's the demon, like full demon makeup now. And Cora screams, "Oh my God!" And the demon says, "God can't help you now." And proceeds to levitate Cora over the banister, and Cora's screaming, and as she's screaming, the demon proceeds to cause Cora's chest to split open while it's screaming, "Nomad Cora! Nomad Cora!" And that's the end of Cora. I was like, really? Why is Cora being killed, first of all? Because I need to know that lore. Apparently, the demon can cause you to kill your own family, but I thought this nomad family was like sacred or something. I was super confused. And again, like you mentioned, you thought Cora was going to be a pivotal part of the plot. Like I thought Cora was going to be the one to make it to the end of the film to help Susan get rid of the possession, to rid her of the possession. Like Cora knows all this stuff. She has the diary. And just to kill her off the second she walks in this house, I was like, okay, well, I guess she's not important after all.
Right. And even like if they're killing her off for the purpose of, I mean, there's the idea that she seems to definitely be someone who believes in this curse. She is the only one really speaking out about it. And so I think that if they're going to have her die, if that's maybe the reason that the demon wants her dead is because he doesn't want her influencing them in any way to put an end to what's happening, I can see a motivation for the demon wanting to off her. But it does feel very sudden, and it feels like she could have offered so much more to the story that I was saying earlier. I like this moment of her arriving. I like the bit of her walking through the house. It's very Exorcist coded. Clearly, there's a lot of inspiration here dealing with The Exorcist, but especially these stairwell sequences. As she's moving up the staircase, she comes to the hallway. It feels very much like the exact same layout of leading up to Reagan's bedroom. But, I mentioned earlier that editing, there's occasionally these moments where the editing feels kind of clunky. Some of the shots are really pretty, but you have her walk up on the landing and she clearly sees Susan, and she approaches her, and it's not until they cut over to Susan when she immediately turns around and you see that she's a demon, like right away. I just felt like they could have really built the suspense of that reveal so much more here. This could have felt like a way bigger moment if they would have refined it a little bit, but it's fine. I mean, whatever. It gets the job done. Cora gets lifted off the ground. I don't know about you, Troy. I don't know how good the quality was that you were watching of the film, but those fishing wires are very clear, like clear as day. The wires that are holding Cora off the ground are extremely obvious, attached to her harness. And I'm not going to bitch about that because it shows that they're doing this shit practical. That woman just was literally hoisted over a banister over top of foyer, and she's floating there and she's screaming, and suddenly that chest busts open, and I don't understand why that's what happens to her, but does it look fucking cool? Absolutely. Her chest, her rib cage splitting open. This is a very gruesome death for this seemingly innocent middle-aged to older woman. Who I wasn't even expecting to die at all. But in a way, because it's so sudden that this woman dies, it is shocking when you first see it. But it does feel like the character got neglected. It feels like she really should have done more because she's around she's basically the first person we saw aside from Susan. I feel like she should have lent more to the story.
Definitely, I agree. And yeah, the wires, unfortunate because it is these films from the early 80s, 70s were never meant to be seen in 4K. And this rip that I watched was the Vinegar Syndrome Blu-ray restoration. And unfortunately, that's one of the consequences of trying to restore some of these films that were never meant to be seen in such crisp quality, because you are going to see a lot of the flaws and a lot of the stuff that you would not see if you were watching like the VHS tape, correct? Yeah, so Cora's dead. I would assume that would make a fucking mess, right? Ripping someone's chest open. Elsie's not there, so I'm assuming fucking Susan cleaned up the mess, because it looks perfectly clean when Oliver gets home from work that night. He has flowers for her because of course he does. And he asks her for dinner, and she says, poached salmon and me.
If you don't use that line on me sometime, Troy, I'm gonna be a salty friend. I hope there's someday, 5 years from now, when I'm in Vegas hanging out with you, I'm like, what do you want to get for dinner? And you're like, oh, poached salmon and me. Oh, you'll sweep me right off my feet.
What a dinner for you. What a delight that would be.
More than a mouthful, I'll say that
Definitely.
much. But yeah, I mean, again, like these two can't fucking keep their paws off of each other. Every fucking scene. When she's not a demon, she's just goo goo gaga for this guy.
Well, so apparently she also just randomly turns into a demon because that night he wakes up in the middle of the night and realizes that she's not in bed next to him, and he looks over, and here you have full demon Susan, Roger, rocking in that damn rocking chair.
What's that demon doing? Just fucking like after a long day, that demon just needs to fucking relax for a minute. Yeah, and his reaction, I would expect him to be like, what the fuck? And start freaking out, but he just casually gets up and saunters out of the room. And then she notices, but she doesn't do anything about it. It's such a weird moment. It makes no sense.
He calls the doctor. It's like, you won't believe what I just saw. It's the middle of the goddamn night. Leave this poor old man alone. And even the doctor's like, it's too late. I'm not coming over. Have her come to my office at 2:30 tomorrow. And then Susan walks in and startles him. And she asks, who were you talking to? And he said, oh, it's a wrong number. And then she tells him to come back to bed. He does. I'm sorry. If I saw my partner was a full-fledged demon a second ago, I'm not going back to bed with you. I'm sorry. My ass is going
They're too busy being in love, Troy. They're too busy being in love to care.
Well, I guess that's the problem, too, because, yes, I think, we've been complaining about the fact that they are portrayed as being so, like, sickening in love, too sugary sweet in love. But I guess it sort of has a purpose because it does make him... I guess we can buy it a little easier that he's kind of sticking with her despite these clues, I guess. I don't know. I'm reaching here.
You're really reaching.
I know.
But I'm reaching too. I'm really trying to make excuses for some of the more haphazard storytelling here because really some of it's really fucking sloppy. Like this moment here where he goes and calls the doctor and then the doctor's like, I'll see her tomorrow. And then he just goes right back to bed and jumps to the next day. Realistically, like there should be a bigger reaction here. Like I don't care what your relationship is. I don't care how much you love them. If I saw that silhouette and clearly saw that silhouette, it's not like he just sees it for a moment, then he like questions it. He's staring right at her and then he gets up and leaves the room because of it. Like you can't just shake that off. You can't just like explain that away. Like that is a very noticeable thing that happened.
Yeah. So the next day, Oliver heads to work and he tells Elsie to please look after Miss Farrell. She's like, I always do. And she goes upstairs. He leaves. She goes upstairs. She sees that fucking smoke and green light pouring from under the bedroom door. And I love it. She goes running out after him to chase him down, to tell him to come back, but he's already gone. She's like, motherfucker's already gone. And she goes back into the house and she gets herself a drink. She pours herself some of the hard stuff, she says. And she goes back up. She's like, I guess I better go check on Miss Susan now. She goes back upstairs, and some of her dialogue's funny. She's like, there's a lot of strange fucking things going on in this house. And she goes down the hallway to the door, looks in, and again, we see it's glowing green, and we hear she peeks in, and she hears the demon growl, and she's like, that's it, I'm out of here. What I don't really like about this scene is that the corny comedic music they play, like just, I don't know. It has rubbed me the wrong way for some reason. As she's running out of the house, it's playing this real corny, like, oh, do. She has her suitcase and she takes off running. Smart decision. We never see Elsie again.
None of the music in this film is ever tonally played with a horror movie in mind. It's always like melodramatic, big orchestrals, or like you said, like this goofy, almost kind of clowny comedic track. And yeah, like, I mean, it's definitely played for laughs. It is the best decision that happens over the course of the whole movie. It's funny, but it's not taking advantage of what could have been a scary moment. Her seeing this thing, you don't even see what Elsie sees, which doesn't make sense because you've seen it before. You've seen it multiple times now. You clearly saw it in that fucking rocking chair. So she books out of there. She's gone. Funny moment. I wish the character came back. I want to acknowledge there is this sequence here, and it's one of the few moments in the film that I think the editing is actually really interesting. There is a dream sequence that happens right before this when Susan's asleep and her husband wakes her up. And this dream sequence, you've got this really unique moment that's like the audio's like dropped out. So it's pretty much over silence for the most part. But you see all these different visuals cut together, and some of the visuals are of things that have already happened. Several of them actually look like they're kind of predicting things to come with Oliver. And you also see this series of angles involving the aunt having dropped her file of paperwork. You see it over the banister, dropping it from the floor above. And you see this really great shot of her backing up and dropping the file. And it's clearly supposed to be one of her dream sequences she keeps having, which we learn she's having these dreams, but this is the only time we see it. They talk about it a couple times, but this is the only time you actually get to see what Susan's dreaming about. And I actually think it's really cool. And the dream ends with it looking as though the demon is reaching out and strangling or choking Oliver. And then it results that he's waking her up, and she opens up and she like opens her eyes to him and she sees him. And I just really like this moment. And I think that this film could have probably done this a couple more times and bridge some of these weird transitional moments. Because some of these transitions, it's an abrupt cut and all of a sudden you're at the next day and it just feels like jarring. They could have really utilized this more because they keep talking about her having these weird dreams. It's the whole reason she ends up getting hypnotized later in the film, because that's the only thing that's really that they think is wrong with her. She's having these weird dreams. She's tired because of it. Nothing more. I really could have used a few more of these. I really liked this moment. I just wanted to highlight it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, she gets hypnotized now. That's the scene, because basically Oliver comes home, tells her that he really does want her to go to the doctor because she mentioned she doesn't think she needs to. So she goes to see Dr. Andrews. He prescribes her some sleeping pills, and she says that she's fine. And he's like, well, no, Susan, will you do something for me? Will you try hypnosis? And she's like, that's nonsense. And he says, no, it's not nonsense. She reluctantly agrees. And yeah, he proceeds to hypnotize her. He tells her that she fully needs to cooperate or it's not going to work. And he puts her under with that goddamn crystal. And then he records the session on his tape recorder. And he asks her if she's Susan Farrell. And she's like, now she's talking like a little girl. No, I'm Susan Walker. I'm 10 years old. He's like, what's wrong, Susan? They're putting mommy in the ground. I hate Cora. I want mommy. She starts crying, hyperventilating, and they kind of go still. And he's like, what's the matter, Susan? Where are you now? And now she's talking in a more deep voice. Safe. I'm in the mausoleum. And he's like, oh, shit. And then she transforms. She looks up at him. She's full demon. And she's like, you didn't know I existed, and screaming. He says, who are you? And he's like, Nomad. We got to stop and acknowledge the fact that the family name Nomad is basically demon spelled backwards. Like, could you not get a little bit more?
Wow. I don't know how I didn't even put that together. I guess I was just confused by the sound of it in general. That's really to the point. Who thought of that one? I'm sure they got a writing credit.
Yeah. But anyway, so he's recorded this. Before she can kill him or anything, he does release her from the trance or from the hypnosis, in which she comes back to she's normal. And he asks her how she feels, and she says he feels fine. And he sends her on his way. When she leaves, he immediately calls Dr. Logan to tell Dr. Logan that he needs her help because he has this problem with this patient that he originally diagnosed with extreme schizophrenic regression, manifested by inner impulses and outer physical projections, including vocal and facial fantasies. The amount of fucking word salad that's thrown out during some of this shit is like, what are you trying to say? He asks for her help. He's like, I need your help because I'm too close to this. I've been treating her since she was a child. Now we cut to lesbian Dr. Logan. This is a lesbian.
Androgynous.
If I've ever seen one, this is a lesbian right here.
She's an androgynous woman. At first, I genuinely did not know the gender, and I was like, wow, this feels progressive, but it is a lesbian woman. Well, I mean, they don't say she's a lesbian, but we're all thinking it. But she's, you know what? She's a very prestigious woman. She definitely holds herself in high regard. He definitely respects her opinion, understandably so. I love when he's on the phone with her and he's spewing through that dialogue and he's stumbling through it. I'm like, it's a mouthful getting through all that dialogue. He has to banter off. I do like that shot during the hypnotism when she becomes taken over by the demon and she's like snarling her lips at him. Like the angle is really interesting. And sometimes her green eyes look really bad. Like it's very clear that they're fully just animated. But then there's other times where it seems like they must do it a different way where her eyes actually look quite good and don't look so hokey. It's weird. Sometimes they hit it, sometimes they don't. But this sequence is pretty effective. He meets with this Dr. Logan, and yeah, she feels very progressive because she's a female doctor. I was not expecting this. I was like, oh, good. They're bringing a woman into the storyline who is not incompetent. They're bringing someone in who can contribute in some way. And again, here is another character who seems to serve a purpose, but like, as quickly as they introduce her, she's there. She, I guess, provides some exposition, and then they don't use her anymore. And the whole thing, the whole explanation, the reasoning for bringing her into this is because overall, Simon's like, when this gets messy, when this gets bad, I need somebody who can step in who's not too close to Susan. I need someone who can kind of oversee this. And Dr. Logan immediately is like, possession. She's like, it's a possession. Trust me when I say this. This girl is possessed. And he buys it right away. They don't question it. She's never even met Susan. They're just going off of this recording, and the voice does sound distorted, I guess. But would you think that Dr. Logan would be like, I think I need to actually meet this woman and give a professional opinion? But they jump right to possession. And then Dr. Logan should be there for this whole thing. She should be involved from this point on. But she goes away. She stops being part of the story. It's so weird.
Well, yeah, she basically is adamant it's a possession just by listening to the recording, which, I mean, even Dr. Andrews is like, this, I understand this voice is easy to fake. This is the vocal transgressions that, schizophrenic vocal transgressions. But he's like, it was her appearance. Her eyes were glowing green. And that's when Dr. Logan's like, yep, she's possessed. I'll help you.
That's all it took.
Yeah, I'll help you. But, you got to step aside. And he's like, no, I'm too close. I can't step aside. She's like, okay, whatever. Okay, so we cut to this plant delivery boy showing up, knocking on the door.
Wearing those pants looking.
I was going to say,
jeans,
you know what? Hey, if this plant delivery boy showed up at my house, I might have to unbutton my blouse a little bit too. But yeah, he knocks at the door. He's delivering like a full-fledged fucking potted plant. And she's like, I think you got the wrong house. He's like, nope, I don't have the wrong house. She's like, we don't need any more landscaping. And he says, I'm not a landscaper. I'm just delivering the plants. Where's the gardener? And she's like, okay, well, maybe you need to come inside and call your company and figure out what this confusion is. So he agrees to go inside because while she's saying it, her blouse is kind of hanging open and her cleavage is showing and she's kind of touching herself a little bit. So of course this horny young boy is going to follow her in. And I mean, she invites him in to use the phone, leads him to the kitchen. The second they get into the kitchen, Roger, what does he do? He grabs her and tries to kiss her. He's like, you look good. And she's like, wait, no, you make your phone call first. Make your phone call first. He's like, no, I want you now. And she's like, no, make your phone call and then we'll go upstairs to the bedroom. He's like, oh, all right. So he goes over and makes the phone call. And as he's making the phone call, those goddamn green eyeballs come out, Roger. And
they're back.
They're back. Now, he's on the phone and he starts shaking and moaning. And apparently his head explodes because we see him scream and blood coming out of the side of his head, and then a shot of him looking down at his hand all bloody and his eyeball is in his hand.
I think it's whatever's coming through the phone because you hear this tone. I think that's what's causing this to happen. Basically, the side of his head that's closest to the phone starts to basically deteriorate. It's weird. It's rotting and pulpy and bloody. It's gross, but it doesn't make any sense. And okay, I'm cool with the fact we got another gory visual, but overall, could we have ditched this moment, dropped one of the kill counts, gotten rid of the scene, and developed the story a little bit more, I would have been fine with it. I'd been fine if we would have given the aunt another scene or something to pad the runtime. Because this feels so out of nowhere. Like, his van pulls up and there's Susan just hanging out the window with like her left breast just tumbling from her nightgown, like exposed. This woman is looking to whore herself to anything that comes by. And this poor young, unassuming gentleman in these tight jeans showing up to just trying to do his job. This guy is just trying to deliver a fucking plant. And at first he's just like, ma'am, please, like, let me just deliver this plant. And she's like, no, you come inside, look at my marshmallow peeps I got out here. You see these things? Come and get them. And like, he's like a young, stupid guy. So I was like, yeah, okay. Like, he's got a kiss of special needs to him. He's got a definitely like has like a lisp. It's just a weird encounter in general. He comes in really aggressively, starts trying to make out with her. She's like, whoa, make your call. And then as quickly as he makes that phone call, like he's pissed about it, he makes the call and his head starts cooking on the other side of the phone. And it's like, it's cool that we saw a kill, but it's not like especially amazing. And it just doesn't do anything for the story. I just feel like we could have skimmed through this and done something that would have enhanced the overall like main story at play. This guy dying, nobody knows about it. It's never brought up again. No one comes looking for him. They could have just devoted this time to the core story and really helped develop that. So I don't know. I'm fine with this scene, but I'm kind of indifferent towards it. I feel it's kind of a waste of time.
Yeah. So Oliver gets home that night and he has a car, Roger. We have to acknowledge he has a car that the door lifts up from the floor. It's one of those like, yeah, I haven't seen that forever.
Fancy.
Yeah. Signifying how much money he has. He goes inside and he sees blood all over the phone. I think this should be a bigger issue than it is. And why isn't this blood cleaned up? She seems to be able to clean up pristinely after all the previous murders, right? Cora being gutted in the living room. You would think that would be a fucking mess. But no, this phone is still blood covered all over it. And he is really nonchalant about it. He's like, Susan, what's up with this phone? And he goes upstairs and finds her in bed. And she's like, I was just taking a nap. The session with Dr. Andrews drained me. He's like, well, let's talk about your session. And she's like, no, I'm too tired. It just has to wait till morning. Again, if I came home and found blood, my phone caked in blood, like fresh blood, I would be highly concerned. He is not.
Yeah. I'd be like, honey, did you cut yourself? And she could have easily explained it away, too. I mean, it seems like it's so quick to just get distracted and move on in a different direction with the story. And this seems like a major development, like to find blood and not just a little bit. The phone is sprayed with blood. It's covered in blood. And where is this gal putting these bodies? That's several people. Later on,
apparently the attic, but don't you think they would smell? Like, wouldn't Oliver smell the decomposition? Because when we see the bodies, they're in various stages of decomposition. Because we have to acknowledge too, I don't know how much time has passed. Like, I don't know how much time this film takes place over. Does that make sense? So it could be months. I don't know. So because some of these bodies look pretty damn bad, and like they're right upstairs. They're like in the attic. So I would think the decomposition would stink your fucking house up. So, but whatever. Dr. Andrew and Dr. Logan are talking, and she's basically convincing him that the possession has already begun and he needs to act off of what was written in the diary. She's like, you have the diary, you know what to do. You must use the crown of thorns to neutralize the possession. Like, go to the mausoleum, get the crown of thorns, put it on her head. Just then, Oliver conveniently shows up and they proceed to tell him, basically, your wife's possessed. She's a demon. Keep your distance. You need to confine her. And he's like, I'm not confining her. And he's like, dude, I'll be there tonight. Please don't get too close to her. Just listen to us and trust us. Oliver hesitantly leaves, and Dr. Logan is adamant, dude, you need to go get that crown of thorns and get it on Susan's head tonight before it's too late. This dialogue is sort of it's voiced over the scene of Susan walking through a mall, right? And
in that great white power suit,
I mean,
Troy. Oh my God.
I know.
Her fashion.
Yeah.
Living for her fashion.
She reminds me sort of the fashion diva in Epitaph. Remember the mom in Epitaph, all her outfits and her big fancy hats that you loved?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, she definitely has a great fucking killer wardrobe, for sure. If there's one thing we can say about Susan, she may lack in character development, but God, she's got a good wardrobe.
Oh, so she goes into this art gallery, and we meet this art gallery salesman, owner. I don't know who this homosexual man is, but what did this poor man do to deserve what happens to him?
I mean, this scene, in the way it flies by, but she's just, like I said, she's just killing anybody now. And I love the sequence. I'll say this. Like, I love that she sees this piece of art. Of course, the art has tits on it. She's immediately drawn to it. She's like, I want this. And he's like, oh, I can't sell it to you, ma'am. Someone already bought it. He's just, again, he's trying to do his job, this poor fucking guy. And she's like, I want it. I'll pay you anything you need for it. Give me this. And he's like, ma'am, I can't do it. It's not mine. And then, like, a woman calls to him and she just grabs the painting and walks away. And I'm like, that's a ballsy ass move, whether you're a demon or not. Like, and the guy's like, lady, wait, it's not mine. And what happens to this guy? Like, I feel like the smaller your character in this film, the more horrible you feel. Because this poor man, let me tell you, he goes through it. This guy, first he starts having like a fucking aneurysm. So he's like holding onto his head. Her eyes are glowing green, as they tend to do. And then, in very dramatic fashion, he like levitates, lifted from the ground. And you can tell there's people in the background who aren't even extras who are watching this. So they're like, whoa, we're not supposed to be here. You can definitely feel like some of the extras in this mall are just mall patrons, but it works. The whole scene works. But what happens to this guy is so elaborate. And overall, up to this point, this film has felt very restrained. You've had a couple cool kills and everything, but they're all just like, you know, practical effects and makeup effects. And you've got that one big mansion, but overall, yeah, the cemetery. But it's felt relatively small scale on what they're trying to do here. With this guy, he gets launched 5 stories in this shopping mall, dropped to his death under that awful art display. And it is the biggest moment in the film. It's probably the best kill in the movie. There's a couple more good ones coming after this, but this moment, for being a throwaway moment that really doesn't serve a ton of purpose other than bringing that painting into the household, which again doesn't do anything. The scene is so much better than it needed to be. It's really a fucking fantastic sequence.
Oh yeah, he falls and is impaled on a spear of an art thing down below. Very much reminiscent of Morgan Fairchild's death in Phantom of the Mall. That's what I was thinking when I saw this. And yeah, I mean, this random guy is killed again, but no, you don't hear about it. I guess it's in front of everybody. Like, this is a fully packed mall. Nobody sees this woman's eyes glowing green. Nobody realizes what's going on. But yeah, this poor man just trying to prevent this woman from shoplifting. This horrible looking painting. This painting is horrible. You could buy this at like Family Dollar for like $5, and I don't know. But yeah,
she's enamored with
I don't know why. It's like some woman
painting
with her boobs out and like a little guy below her, and then on the side it looks like it's like a house or something. I was trying to figure out what the fuck is this painting so important, but who knows?
Well, and aside from having stigmata in a little bit, like, what does this painting really fucking do? It's not like this painting is some big key to move the story forward. She just likes it. And then she has to go home and swoon again. Then she goes, she's tired after killing this guy, so she goes home to lay down.
And Oliver comes home and he sees this painting and he reacts like how I would. I was like, what the fuck is this piece of shit? So he goes and wakes her up and is trying to find out what this painting is. He's like, why are you in bed? It's 5 o'clock. And she's like, no, it's too early. I'm so tired. He shows her the painting and what the hell is this? What's wrong with you? And she's like, nothing's wrong with me. He's like, you need to communicate with me or Simon can't help you. And she says real aggressively, fuck Simon. And then just lays right back down. And he leaves the room. And yeah, he leaves the room. He left the painting there on the bed. She looks down at it. Her eyes glow green, and staring at the painting, the woman in the painting, her eyes start to bleed. bleed out and the blood drips down the painting and onto the floor. Cool, I guess, but what purpose is this? Like, this painting, I'm sorry, this painting must have some sort of meaning that I'm just not catching. I tried to look at it, Roger. I paused it to try to look and see what this painting is and why it's so important. I don't fucking know.
It doesn't do anything to move the plot forward. It just has the stigmata. I love there's that one moment where he's like, he mentions Simon and she's like, fuck Simon. Like she's starting to get pissed off. I do like as she gets progressively more and more taken over by the demon. She starts swearing like a mouth of a sailor. So I like that aspect, but now we start getting these like weird cut-ins of her like snarling at the camera and her eyes are glowing. Like if this was the point in the movie, if bringing the painting home was the point in the movie where the demon finally fully took her over, maybe that's what the final key to making this process happen, come to life. That would have been cool, but nothing's any different. She's been taken over by this demon the whole movie. So like nothing new really needs to happen here. It's just there. It's just part of who she is. So yeah, it just feels like even introducing this painting feels like it has no purpose behind it. And it does feel like so many of these character motivations, they really just don't go anywhere. Even the introduction of Dr. Logan, we've been talking about Dr. Logan, but really, what purpose does Dr. Logan have? She, I guess, is there to cheer Simon on and say, yes, you should do this. You should go through with treating this as though it's a possession. That's what this is. But he could have had that revelation himself. He could have learned that by having further conversations with Cora, because their first scene together after the time jump earlier on in the movie, they're sitting there and Cora's saying, she's like, this curse exists. I believe there's a problem. I think that there's something going on with Susan. You could have gotten rid of Dr. Logan completely and let Cora have that whole story arc through towards the conclusion of the film and made it feel a lot more impactful. So yeah, there's a lot of these different little plot points that come and go and really don't mean anything. And the painting is a perfect example of that.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, she's just turning progressively more into a cunt, because later at dinner, Oliver apologizes to her and tells her that she can keep the painting if she likes it. And then he goes to the sink to put his dishes in, and he accidentally drops a plate on the floor and it shatters. And she's like, why don't you just leave things alone? He's like, hey, Susie, calm down. It's just a plate. And she's like, don't call me Susie. I hate it. He's like, I'm just trying to help you. She's like, well, then help these. And she grabs a whole fucking stack of plates and throws them smashes them on the floor.
Yeah, well, then why don't you help with these then? Like, and then again, her smashing these plates, we should have seen Oliver be like, what the fuck, bitch? You are crazy. But then there's another, right after that, isn't there another incomplete moment, like another time jump, just going to later in the film when Susan or Simon is driving? Yeah. It just cuts to Simon driving.
He's on his way. He's on his way to the mausoleum. It cuts to Simon driving to the mausoleum.
Yeah, and it feels like this moment should be confronted. You should have Oliver be, what is happening? But they never let these moments wrap up.
No, he doesn't care. And in fact, I mean, we're getting right into it. He goes up to the bathroom where she's taking a bath. And now, Roger, she is the complete antithesis of a cunt. She is so super sweet. She's talking real nice to him. She says, oh, Oliver, I love you so much. He says, I love you too. And she's like, why don't you come to me? And he goes over to the bathtub and they start making out. There's no way I would be making out with this bitch at this moment. A, being told that she's possessed and knowing you saw her in a rocking chair looking like a fucking demon. B, her throwing fucking dishes on the floor. I am not going to make out with this woman. But he does. He does. And now we get Dr. Andrews going. He's at the mausoleum. It's storming out. This is just so quick. He just runs into the mausoleum, grabs the crown of thorns, and runs out. At the same time, it's kind of intercut with Susie's eyes turning green as she's hugging Oliver, and they're making out. And Roger, they are in the midst of hot and heavy making out when she transforms full-fledged into like a demon we've never seen before, because her jugs literally turn into two little demons with teeth, and they proceed to rip Oliver's chest open, killing him. I mean, he falls into the bathtub and his chest is all exposed, and those little knocker demons are like laughing at him. And we see she is full. Now, I mean, we want to talk about some good practical effects. I mean, this was 83 and this is a low budget film. This is pretty fucking impressive, actually.
At this point on, the film is pretty excellent. Truly, maybe long-winded. There are a few moments that go on way too long, or specific shots that they let linger too long. But like where it's going from here is actually really quite fantastic. And this whole moment where Oliver is suddenly killed, shocking, and it feels unwarranted. It feels like he didn't deserve it, but at the same time, because his character has yet to really have a full realization of what's happening, it's kind of like at this point, just kill him off. Like, cool. Let this be Simon's moment. Let this be Simon's journey. Because you said this at the start of the review. Simon is by far the most likable male character in this film. He never takes advantage of Susan. He only wants the best for her. He's not oblivious to her needs and what's going on. He's definitely aware that there's something concerning happening. Even though Oliver is the one to bring his attention to it, Oliver consistently is aloof and oblivious to the severity of what is happening and what's truly affecting Susan. Simon is not. Simon is proactive. So I do like the pivot here to allowing him to be the male protagonist moving forward. But yes, very surprising that they kill Oliver off when they do and as violently as they do. And those knocker monsters, I mean, those are some of my favorites I've seen in a while. Never seen anything like that. They have personality. I give them a spin-off. Tit Monsters. Mausoleum 2, Tit Monsters, starring Roger Connors and Troy Escamilla as the tits. I mean, you don't have to pay me. I'll pay you. Let me be one of those boob monsters. But yeah, this creature design is fantastic. And it's so physical. And you can see a couple of like the seams and everything of the creature. You can see the mouth behind the teeth when the jaw becomes really oversized, because it continues to get better. But I appreciate that about it, because you know everything about this it's a costume. It's animated. There's parts of the face that move, the lips move, the eyebrows move. It's so fucking impressive. And I've got to say, like, this is a film that, while they were really misguided at certain points of the story and how they evolved the story, I feel like they knew the finale they wanted. I feel they knew exactly what they wanted from the end of the movie. It was just a struggle getting there. Like the script, it's not great, but this ending, man, it surpassed my expectations.
I feel like the filmmakers had two goals with this film: show off tits, show off our practical effects. Because that is what the film does best. I was shocked Oliver was killed so violently and just so, I mean, it's so sudden. And you're right. He doesn't really deserve it. He's not like a shitty character. He's just him being so oblivious and so easily willing to overlook all of the warning signs, I guess, does make him kind of a stupid character. So in one sense, it's his own stupidity that got him killed. But again, I don't think he necessarily deserved to meet such a violent death. Dr. Andrews arrives at the house, and this gets a little tedious, him walking through the house, I will say. It's a lot of walking through the house. We get a scene where he goes out, he hears something on the patio. He goes out to the patio, and we get a cat jump scare. Where the fuck this cat's been the whole movie? Fuck if I know. She's upstairs in the attic playing with dolls, and she must sense that he is there, because all of a sudden she lets out this blood-curdling scream twice in a row. And as he's making his way up to the attic, he does have to go through the bathroom, and he does see Oliver's dead body. No reaction. I expected him to freak out.
Yeah. I think he's in shock because he does go over to the railing and he's trying to get a grasp of himself, but it does feel very understated. But one thing I like about this, because I said earlier, a lot of the music in this film is really kind of hokey. I love when he enters the house, it's stark. It's silent. All you hear are the sounds of the creaks of the floorboards, the staircase. It's very creepy. And while it does go on for a while, I love the shots of the obstructed shots as he's moving through the house. They're filming through through different items as the camera's panning. It's just a very well shot sequence. And even as he enters the attic, because you realize she's in the attic, there's that whole bit of him like opening the doors to reveal the attic, and it's nothing but spider webs. It's fuckers, clean your fucking attic. Again, you have a massive mansion. You have no excuse for having such a messy attic, but he's walking through all these like layers of fabric and everything, and it feels very grand in scale. You know, building up to this ending, the film has been, again, relatively subdued when it comes to its locations and overall just the scale of what they're pulling off, aside from some really great practical effects. But they really saved the best of everything for last, not just the special effects. This whole final sequence in the attic, it really is one of the cooler locations in the movie. Same with the mausoleum, and we're about to go back there as well. So it does feel like, in the sense of giving this movie a proper ending, this film has quite a grand finale to it.
Yeah, I agree visually that the ending of the film is quite stunning and there's some really impressive effects. I think the whole confrontation between Simon and this demon could have been a little bit more fleshed out, aggressive, impactful, because there's really no battle. Like the way he is easily just puts the crown of thorns on this demon is really lackluster. He does go up to the attic, and on the way up, he does see, like as I mentioned, the dead bodies are all up there. They're covered in cobwebs. And now she is playing in a dollhouse, and she pleasantly looks at him. Now she's talking like a 10-year-old child. She's like, "Hi, Uncle Simon. Do you like this?" And he's like, she says, "Where's Oliver? Have you seen Oliver?" "Oh, he must be working late again. I think he does that because he loves me. He works so hard because he loves me." And he's like, "Yeah, that's right. This house has a lot of memories for you." She's like, "Yeah, I was so happy when I was a little girl and mommy, daddy loved each other. And I think that's why mommy died." And then all of a sudden she's a demon. She's like, "Because she couldn't live without him." And he tells her, "That's not why your mother died. She died because of the curse of the Nomad woman. And I'm going to finish what your father tried to do." And I literally, there's no battle. He literally just walks over and puts the crown on its head. That's it. And I mean, I will say the result is really cool because we get a whole probably 2-minute scene of this creature literally just like melting and disintegrating. I mean, it's gooey. Talk about body horror. It reminded me like of Society. It reminded me of like The Substance. Those films had to have taken some inspiration from this, because looks really fucking cool. I was just a little bit perturbed about how quickly he's able to do it without any sort of fight. Does that make sense?
Yes, I absolutely agree on that. I think what I was saying was really in the sense of the visual scope, the lighting, the grandeur of the finale. I feel like they put a lot of focus in creating something that aesthetically is really pleasing. But I do agree, it seems relatively easy defeating this thing, you know? And another thing that works in this scene's favor is I do think this is some of Susan's best acting. When she's giving this final monologue against that stark silence, it's the most charisma and personality she's had, and she's not bad. Like, as she starts to get overtaken by the demon, she's a beautiful woman, and they've really put a lot of focus on making sure she's pretty, but it's clear that she's an actress who's not scared of getting a little gritty. Like, as she's starting to show these bigger ranges of emotion during this final stretch, I think it's some of her best work, because she's not just being pretty Susan. She's actually showing quite a lot of range here. So I like that about it. They do let her have this moment, but yeah, it's very easy defeating this thing, because the crown comes down. You've got that long overlay of her with the demon's face over top, and like slowly she kind of just turns into this thing, and then it's really confusing because there's this whole bit here where the thing turns back into her and she's on the ground, but then the demon is still in physical form now, teleported back to the mausoleum. So I guess the crown separated the two of them. Like, I guess that's what we're supposed to understand. I can live with that. For some reason, Simon thinks it's a good idea to take her back into that mausoleum, but it ends up being the right thing to do. She's got to put that crown on its head. She has to be the one to do it. But I'm confused as to how he knew that, like, him putting the crown on her was going to be what it took to separate the two of them. I guess that's part of the lore.
I think it
was that explained?
No, I think
if it did, I went over my head.
No, I think it was briefly mentioned by Dr. Logan. She's like, you read the diary, you know what you need to do. You need to go put that crown of thorns on her head tonight. And then the whole thing is like, yeah, then the final thing is for the first, born woman, nomad woman. She has to be the one to actually put the crown on the demon. But I was a little confused how the demon time just transported back to the mausoleum. He takes her there, tells her what she needs to do. She's inside crying. I do think this is really good acting too. Like her crying seems really authentic. And yeah, I mean, again, there's no battle. She literally just walks right up and puts it on the thing, on the demon. It doesn't try to stop her. She puts it on and it falls into its coffin, and I'm assuming it dies. And she's crying hysterically, and then you see the coffin lid just slide shut by itself. And he leads her out of the mausoleum and tells her that there's a lot he needs to explain to her. He puts her in the car. She asks about Oliver, and he tells her, I'll tell you about that later. Okay. This
buckle up. I knew this is coming.
I'm so confused. I have racked my brain trying to think of what this ending is supposed to mean, if anything, because what ends up happening is he puts Susan in the car. He walks up to the caretaker, who's just like, I'm assuming it's a caretaker, I don't know, somebody in a robe, just sitting there, and he tells this person, he's like, you've known this secret and lived with it your whole life, like your father and his father before him has. Remember, do not let anyone go into the mausoleum. Nobody. Well, obviously, you haven't been doing a fucking great job, because people have been waltzing in and out of this mausoleum the whole fucking movie. Anyways, he leaves. This caretaker character turns around to reveal that it's Ben the gardener, who breaks the fourth wall, stares straight into the camera, and begins laughing hysterically. And that is the end of the movie. Am I missing something here?
Absolutely. I am missing it too. I can't tell you what it is, but talk about an ending that makes it not a lick of fucking sense. This fucker in this monk robe from like the 1400s. Why is he dressed like that? Has he this whole time, has this character been clued in on something we don't know about? And if so, did he not die? What happened to his face? Maybe he survived. Maybe he made it out okay. But for me to assume even that this is the same person as Ben the gardener, I guess just Ben the gardener in a dual role with no explanation. I needed some more explanation, especially after that big, long, drawn-out final sequence of the demon. It looked good, but how many angles did we see of that demon walking through that mausoleum? Aerial shots, side angles, long, drawn angles of it just crawling around. It looks amazing, but it took it forever to get to that fucking sarcophagus. And then
I do like that it looks so sad. It's just meandering around.
It's so sad. It's like, oh my God, this again, this broad. And then she comes waddling in. And you know what I really liked here, Troy? If we're going to talk about at least trying to build up to a climactic ending and not having a lot to go off of, I loved the cuts of Susan as she's moving towards the coffin, cutting between her as a grown woman and her as a child. You notice how there are several cuts of her as a young girl again. And I thought that was really awesome. It kind of felt full circle of her finally relinquishing the curse, letting that go, and finally defeating this thing. I thought that was artistically a surprising, poignant moment. But what really makes me mad here, aside from that horrible fucking ending, is when you think about it, Susan is not capable of doing anything. She certainly can't defend herself, but all she has to do is put this crown on this demon. And even that, she's like, I can't do that, Simon. It's like, bitch, yes, you absolutely can. This thing is very much defeated. It's just laying there, pathetic, sad. My dog is currently, my Mastiff is wearing one of those inflatable collars because he has like a bite on his leg. And this demon looks like Gregory Cheeks with jowls aplenty, just all these rolls hanging, looking really defeated. And she walks over there and puts the crown on it. And it's like, in a way, the thing almost looks relieved in a way. It looks like almost like a peaceful exchange. And I always say, Troy, like I say, for a truly good horror film, you need to know like how to progressively raise the stakes. I've said this many times on this podcast. You've got to know to raise the stakes. You can't just start off shooting your load at the beginning of the movie without anywhere to go. And this is a film that kind of like jumped into it right away, and it didn't really have any way to raise the stakes aside from a few great reveals of these prosthetic effects. It felt like it didn't really know where it was going with this creature. It didn't know how to defeat it. It didn't really have, like you said, there's no final showdown. There's this big cool moment with that crown of thorns, but it just feels like this needed to be more of a threat factor. This thing needed to be more intimidating. It does kill a lot of people, but once this thing is separated from Susan, this thing seems pretty helpless and very weak. And that was kind of disappointing. I was really hoping that Susan, would have a moment where she stepped up to the plate and she was kind of, in her own way, a final girl. But she's not that. Susan is definitely not a final girl. She is very much a damsel in distress.
Yeah, totally. But I mean, back to the gardener. Why the fuck is the gardener all of a sudden the cemetery caretaker? I don't know. Like I said, I've tried to figure it out. I'm like, am I missing something? I think it was just like, you're right. They just were like, oh, let's have a little wink with the audience. Let's have some fun with them and just have the same actor that played the gardener, because I think they want us to be confused. I don't know, but yeah. I mean, wow. The effects, this final 10 minutes of the film, are definitely, I think, worth seeking this film out. I mean, I'm going to say some of the better practical effects I've seen in a 80s film. Again, gives you great society vibes. It's just a unique creature. I mean, they really do a lot of things to make this unique. Like, yeah, the tit demons with their little mouths and chatting and shit. It's really impressive. But overall, I mean, the film is fun. There's a lot of stuff to have fun with in the film. If you're looking for a cohesive story, a cohesive plot, characters that you're really going to care about or relate to, if that stuff's important to you, then I would say you're going to be disappointed. The sole reason to watch this, let's be honest, is for the tits and for the effects. That's pretty much it.
If you like big fat titties, and I really don't think a lot of our listeners do, but if you like marshmallow knockers, because she's got big old white titties, this film is going to tickle your pickle, or make you tickle your own pickle. Because yeah, it's definitely masturbation material, especially for individuals like you, Troy, watching at 7. I'm sure that if you were a straight kid, this would have been the jackpot. But this is probably around the time that Troy realized, not my cup of tea. But if you like big titties, this film's gotta. And it's got a little bit of Bush, too. You see a little bit of that right before her tit monsters eat her husband alive, eat his chest out. But the gore, the effects, the chest busts, the creature design, all of that is really fantastic. And especially for the time, it really is a standout trait of what makes this movie work. I understand why like this film has been dogged by critics, but I also understand that why there would be a very devoted fan base. Like I said at the start of this is a campy film. This film has at times high camp factor, specifically because of Susan being such a sex pot. But it still also succeeds often as a horror movie, specifically because it really delivers when it comes to that creature, that monster design. It's not like anything else that was coming out at the time. So I get why this film won some of the awards that it did. And from the smaller sci-fi and horror awards, I think it's a Saturn Award. It was nominated. I took home the Jury Award, I think it was, actually, that year as well. I get why there's a fan base for it. This film is a gratuitous, like in your face, just sleazy Exorcist ripoff, and they mostly pull it off. They really pull off something memorable for sure. So I had a great time watching this. I really enjoyed it. I get why Brett's such a fan of it. I hope we did it right. He'll let us know. And if we didn't do it right, I'm sure he'll let us know as well.
Yeah, fun one. And other listeners, feel free to let us know your thoughts on Mausoleum. Yeah, because it is really a unique film. It really is. There's a lot, like you said, there's a lot to like about it, but it definitely has its shortcomings. But I have fun with it. I could watch this again. It would be a really fun film to put on with a bunch of, a group of friends during like a party or something where you're drinking and trying to have fun and just on in the background. But yeah, Mausoleum. I'm glad we covered it. Yes, for sure, for sure. Um, I guess I gotta reveal my next pick, right? It's between two, and if I don't pick the one, I'm gonna pick it next time. Actually, okay, I just made my decision because the one is a Christmas themed horror film, so I'm gonna push that one back, and I'm gonna pick the one. And the only reason I'm picking this, Roger, and I'm sorry, we usually try to spice it up in variety wise, but we're sticking to the '80s. We're sticking to we're going to 1984, and I want to tell you why this shot to my attention is because I watched Mausoleum on Tubi, and I did not stop it right away, so it auto played the next film. You know how it does that? It picks a film to autoplay, and the next film it started was the film that if I showed you, Roger, I'm not lying. It is I have my Dark Night of the podcast movies I want to cover. I've been keeping it. I know you have it too. It's on your phone. It's on my phone. This one it's been at the top of my list since we started the podcast. I'm not exaggerating. It's the first film listed. Tubi auto played it. So Tubi's trying to tell me, motherfucker, it's time for you to cover this. We are covering 1984's Splatter University.
Never fucking seen it.
Oh my God.
Never seen it. Sounds like a good time.
It's a good time. Why not? We've covered Slaughter High. I think Splatter University, Slaughter High always kind of go hand in hand. Perfect double viewing. We covered Slaughter High. That was like episode 7 or something. So yeah, Tubi was telling me, Troy, it's time you cover this. So we're covering 1984 Splatter University. And let me tell you, it's a deep.
You know what?
It's a deep.
Fuck it, let's do it.
Well, you know what? Here's the thing: is I think there is a strong connection to The Dorm That Dripped Blood, which I think when you watch the movie, you know what I'm talking about, and we can definitely dive into it. So, guys, let us.
I don't even know if I've seen the poster.
You've seen the poster. Oh my God. Yes. If you were a kid that went to the video store, it's the cheerleader on the table with the hand coming out with a knife.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you've seen it. You've seen it. You're in for some good slasher goodness. So, yes, that's our next film, guys. So, tune in. And again, let us know your thoughts on Mausoleum. Check out some of our. You know what? This would be a good time for you guys to go back and listen to some of our older episodes because Roger, we're probably going to take there's going to be a gap between this and our next episode because Roger is just a busy bee. He's traveling to Austin this weekend for film festival, the Ethereal Film Festival that Meat is playing in and nominated for a bunch of awards. And then, so wish him luck there. But yeah, so there's going to be a little bit of gap. So it's going to go back and listen to maybe our Slaughter High episode or something early from our catalog.
I'm going to recommend one that'll go really well with the title we just watched. I think after you watch Mausoleum, you should go watch The Dead Pit.
Yes.
Because that's another movie with big milky titties running around and demons with really effective makeup and green light and all that shit. Feel like they're very much on the same level. Just one's in like a mental hospital, the other one's in a mansion. But yeah, that would be my suggestion. Go listen to that one because it feels like the same vibe.
Yeah, lots to choose from. I mean, we're almost done. We're almost. I think this week or next week we're going to be at 180 episodes. We're closing in on 200, and we got to do something special for that. We'll talk. But anyways, guys,
the guests.
Oh my God, lots of guests. We're gonna have a slew of guests. We should invite all of them.
Musical numbers.
Right. We'll think of something big. We actually do need to start thinking about episode 200. Guys, thank you for tuning in. Remember 5-star rating and let us know your thoughts. Good night.
Good night.